Hi, I'm Tyler Neely, and I'm sitting here with Democratic candidate David Parks for the Lewis County Sheriff. How you doing, Dave?
Good, Tyler. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. That's actually one of the first things I wanted to touch base on is the whole Democratic-Republican thing. You've stated before how, at the sheriff's level, that doesn't really pertain to much. Could you elaborate on that?
No, what happens is during the first elections that we went through, that narrowed down one Democratic candidate and one Republican candidate. So now, with the election on November 3rd, there will be one Republican and one Democrat on the ballot.
Okay. So at that level, it doesn't,
Yeah, at that level, it doesn't matter. What you really should be doing in any election, in just my opinion, is voting for who you think would be best for the position.
Okay.
Not their political status or not anything to do with their party, but especially at the county level, because everybody's worried about the presidential level and what the Democrats are doing up there, or the Republicans are doing up there. In the local level, you really need to look at the person as opposed to what these standards are that the Democrat and Republican Party is setting in Washington, D.C.
Right. Touching on that as well, you've wanted to say stuff about the First and Second Amendment, so they don't really paint you in that corner.
Right. And that's a lot with the Democratic Party, is they kind of get keyholed into the First and Second Amendment where they think that the Democrats are against that. I personally, even though I'm a Democrat, I support the First Amendment 100%. I think the freedom of speech is very important. The right to protest is very important. And I always put the little add to that as long as it's not violent and destructive protest, as long as it's a peaceful protest, I'm 100% for it. I could join in with that and have joined in with them before. And as far as the Second Amendment, that's a constitutional right to bear arms. I support that 100%. We grew up in a family that we all had guns. We've always had guns. I can't imagine somebody asking me for my guns. So I don't support any politician that would want to take that right away.
Right. You're a local guy. You've lived here your whole life. You grew up here.
Yeah, I've lived in Lewis County practically my entire life. I was gone, college, and I moved to Morgantown for a year. But basically, my whole life I was went to elementary school here, went to high school here, played sports, raised my kids here. I've always lived here since the last 30 years. So I have. My kids and grandkids are now living here in Lewis County. So yeah, I feel real strong about helping Lewis County.
Right, so you got a lot of ties in the community. And
Absolutely. Plus spending all those years at the Lewis County Sheriff's Office, that really held a lot more ties to the community. As I go out, I see people that I've talked to or dealt with, and it doesn't have to be bad situations. Could have been car wrecks or something innocent. Did a lot of programs with the schools, a lot of community talks and things like that. People remember that. And I'll stop and have conversations with them about it just for, to discuss that with them.
Yeah, and, so you said you were with the Sheriff's Office. I'm just going to state a couple things that you 20 years at the Lewis County Sheriff's Office, 6 years Drug Enforcement Task Force, 5 years Prevention Resource Officer at the middle school.
Yeah.
And you're currently still West Virginia State Certified Police Officer?
Yes. I had the opportunity in 1999 to go to the Drug Enforcement Task Force, which was a great experience for me because I worked undercover and got to work a lot of drug cases. At state and federal level, I worked directly with the FBI agents. I worked out of the Clarksburg FBI office. I still maintain a lot of those friendships today with those agents. But it gave me the opportunity to work and really get educated on the drug problem in West Virginia. And to me, it's kind of a stepping stone. Our problems in Lewis County are just magnified with a bigger population. So if you go to Morgantown, you see this drug problem and cut it into fourth, and that's what we have in Lewis County. So there's a lot of drug problems in Lewis County, but it's something that we just need to address every day. It's not the problem's never going to go away, but we can try to control it the best we can.
Right. Speaking on experience again, there's been some, who has more experience here and there and stuff. You spent 20 years with that department. Can you just kind of elaborate on how that would benefit you being sheriff versus your opponent?
Well, when I retired out as an administrative lieutenant, which means I was the highest rank you could be, non-appointed. So I worked my way through the rank. I've had several conversations with the former sheriff, Adam Gissy, who I retired under. He's praised me. The two major praises he's had for me was getting the drug program back up and running for him and my administrative ability. So not only do I know the ins and outs of the sheriff's department, help write the policies and procedures for that and get those organized. Plus, the day-to-day operation, I understand what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, what needs reported to Charleston or the FBI, and what needs taken care of on a day-to-day basis by code, as opposed to just being a police officer or the sheriff.
Right. So you could basically start on day one.
I feel like I could walk in there January 1 and hit the ground running and know where I stand. I used to write the schedule and do all kinds of work for various sheriffs through my 20 plus years at the sheriff's office. I played different roles and I did different administrative activities for those sheriffs. So yeah, I feel very comfortable going in there.
I want to touch base on kind of the process with this whole election, how COVID has kind of messed things up on your campaign.
COVID has been an incredible burden on the campaign. I work for WVU Medicine currently, and I'm assigned to Sharp Hospital. Now, at Sharp Hospital, we have over 500 employees and a couple hundred patients up there. So we're dealing with 700 to 800 people. I'm really cautious about coming out into the community and by some odd chance getting too close to somebody and being afraid of spreading COVID. I have been dropping some information on some porches. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make it out as much as I wanted to. But in some areas, I've been able to go out and drop some information on porches and let them know. Now, I haven't been ringing doorbells or talking to people. If people come out while I'm there, I'll make sure my mask is on and I'll talk to them. But I don't feel comfortable going door to door. I don't think I could. I don't think that I could just live with myself if I know that I was spreading COVID around the community. So that's why I'm just staying away from people and trying to do the media outlets, the TV, the newspaper, the radio, and obviously Facebook.
And you've made yourself pretty presentable online as well. You tell everybody they can message you with any question they have.
Absolutely, I've got an open Facebook page they can do. There's been a couple questions outside of there that I've answered personally or in the private messages. And a couple that I've done in open forum. I have nothing to hide. I am who I am, and I'm not afraid to answer questions at any point in time.
Right.
Feel free to get a hold of me for that.
Right. And as far as you first put out this list of your major accomplishments, and then you put out another list of. I think you've been a little modest personally on how many accomplishments you actually have.
I've had several awards and certificates in my career, and I've had a lot of training in my career, but that's basically too numerous to mention. I did some of the major awards that I won, some of the awards for valor and the appreciation from the DEA and ATF and those agencies, and I have a hard time bragging on myself when it comes to aspects like that. So it's a little harder for me to talk about things like that. I'll gladly open my training record. I'll show you my college degrees. I'll show you anything you want to know. But as far as to sit down and brag about my past, I have a hard time doing that.
Right. And I've known you for many years, and you've never really been that guy,
Yeah, I have a hard time putting it out like that.
Yeah. If for the people that are on the fence, there's been some. The guy on Facebook asked you to answer some questions. You answered all his questions. For anybody on the fence right now, is there anything you'd like to say to them, or anything you think they might want to know?
Well, I'll tell you, the big thing I hear all the time is change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the previous sheriff, during most of his administration, did a pretty good job addressing some of the drug problems. It just goes to show you that it never ends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we get rid of a drug dealer, another one pops up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what we have to look at when we're looking at this is people are saying that I was in the sheriff's office during this time,
mm-hmm.
and I made no difference,
Mm-hmm.
so that me going back would make no change.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the sheriff runs the sheriff's department. When I was even as administrative lieutenant, I was at the will and pleasure of the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
I was not making administrative decisions that would make great decisions in the county,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the sheriff's responsibility.
Right.
So, as to say that they want change, the sheriff's position is a change,
Right.
because you don't get hired as a deputy and are expected to make changes in the county.
Right.
So as I spent my 20 plus years at the sheriff's office, I worked for the sheriffs. They told me what to do. That's what I did. How I
Right.
handled everything was their way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I become sheriff, that responsibility will be on me, and I'll be able to handle and take care of things the way I would like to take care of them,
Mm-hmm.
or try them.
And we've spoke before about this. There's a whole other side of the sheriff's being sheriff that a lot of people don't really think about. Tax office, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
There's a certain amount of things at the sheriff's office that are in the state code that is handled by the sheriff himself.
Mm-hmm.
The tax department is one of those, and you have an entire different group of people over there working the tax office that are not law enforcement officers,
Mm-hmm.
but they have a very important job as well, just as everybody in the courthouse does.
Mm-hmm.
And they handle the tax collection and the vehicle registration, things like that. And that's another part of it. And there's a list of several things that the sheriff is absolutely responsible for, which
Mm-hmm.
is the humane officer, which is the animal control, and court security, things like that. There's a list of those as well that the sheriff has to do by code.
Right. So I mean, you sound pretty pretty as experienced as you could be without being the physical sheriff.
Yeah, I feel like during my years at the sheriff's office that each of the sheriffs have been an asset to my career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've all helped me. I've had sheriffs that that got me more involved in administrative things than some, but still yet, I was writing grants for the sheriff's office, and actually wrote some grants for the county area.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote one for the middle school, one for the Jane Lou School,
Mm-hmm.
and I got over $1 million and probably close to $1.4 million in money for Lewis County over the years, the last few years administratively.
So I just want to touch base on that, because in terms of experience, whoever's more experienced, you have the most time in this, in the department that you're running for by, 20 plus years.
Yeah, I spent over 20 years in the department in which that I'm trying to get back into right now.
Right. So there wouldn't be any learning time,
Right.
transitional time. You can get going now.
Right now, actually being a state certified police officer, it's not a requirement for the job,
Mm-hmm.
but it helps. In my opinion, it helps, because if I would become sheriff tomorrow, I would know the criminal justice process. I would know
Right.
how to write a search warrant, and then, the sheriff is the leader, and leadership is the key to having a good department.
Right. And you basically, I mean, but just it seems like you've been, in lack of better words, training for this your whole life.
Yeah, this is the final step to my process. I've been started out as a deputy, went to a sergeant, then to lieutenant, and I retired out as a lieutenant in 2015, in December of 2015.
As far as you're a pretty honest going guy. You don't really want to badmouth anyone. But what would you say would be your biggest attribute versus your competitor?
I think the fact that I've spent over 20 years in the department.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it grow from us being deputies that we didn't even have offices till we build offices in the old jail and then transition into the annex. And I've been through multiple sheriffs through that time and dealt with several different people. I just felt that I feel like the whole, I helped create a lot of the processes in that department.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm very familiar with it, and I think that I just truly think that day one, if as I walk in there, if I'm elected and I walk in there January 1, I'll know where everything is. I know what's going on generally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have, I think that I have a better grasp on the sheriff's office than any of my other opponents would have.
Right. So a lot of people are wondering if you do get elected, what would be some of your plans when you get in?
If I get elected, some of the first things I'd like to do is get back involved with the community.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be able to go back out and do community watch meetings or neighborhood watch meetings. I'd like to do public events. I'd like to be out there and be able to talk to the people, find out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I'd like the deputies to start doing that as well. I think it's important that I get out and talk to them. But we don't know what's going on in the community unless people are telling us.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the big things for me is to get out involved with what's going on, get people comfortable with calling me or sending me information over the internet, whether it be Facebook or text messages or whatever, because I think it's really important to have that type of communication.
Mm-hmm. So basically, just get the community a better relationship with the police force, with the sheriff's department.
I would like to get the deputies back out into the community and do some events and stuff and have welcome people to come up and meet us and talk to us. There's been a big turnover in the sheriff's office, and a lot of the deputies that have been there for years are now gone. So there's a new batch of deputies in there, and they're not very old, haven't been in the community much, don't understand some of the old ways that were done that I felt were effective, like the neighborhood watches and the community events. So I think that's going to be very important to try to get back into that flow to establish that communication with the public.
So currently Lewis County is having a manpower issue. They're kind of short on deputies. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, I'll start by saying law enforcement nationwide is having a problem with police officers. The pay is not where it should be for a guy who goes out every day and may or may not, have be killed in the line of duty. And a lot of the benefits are still there. However, the salaries aren't up to where it used to be. In Lewis County, back years ago, they used to be top notch. They used to be high salaried, and now that has dwindled over the years. And I don't know what's happened, but their salary is not quite up to where it should be. So that's one of my goals, is to first address the salary issue to see what we can do. And that's not me, that's cooperation with me and the county commission to try to establish a good solid salary that we can keep people. Because what happens normally in a small area is somebody gets on the city police, and then as soon as they get on and established and trained, then they move up to the sheriff's office because the sheriff's office pays more. And then often, some of those guys will move on to the state police because they pay more. So establishing a good base and a good salary to keep guys in there forever, or until they retire, because that's the kind of guy that I would look for in hiring, is the guy that's going to be there in 20 years after I hire him. Another area would be recruitment. So what we need to do is we need to get a better pool of candidates. When I started in the sheriff's office, I think there were 32 people that came and took the test to be on the police force.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last one that they did, maybe 6 or 8 at most. I'm not even sure how many passed that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just showing up for the test. We need a better pool. We need to find out, we need to reach out to people and say, hey, we want you to apply. Why are you not applying? You're a good person. Why is this not attractive to you?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that modern day, there's a lot of disrespect for police officers. I am truly under the firm belief that if a police officer shows respect to the people will show it back.
Mm-hmm.
We should never jump on. Police officers should never jump on the people, no matter what their feelings are.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important to be very respectful to the community.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know the stresses they're under. They don't know the stresses we're under.
Right.
But I still think it's very important to be respectful to it. And it doesn't matter if it's a suspect, a victim. It doesn't matter who it is. You need to be respectful.
Mm-hmm.
And things will be a lot better if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get that in return most of the time.
I'll just say this, back to the people wanting change thing, just from just talking to you here. It seems like you have a lot of areas you see the areas that need fixed, and you have plans in fixing them. So whether it's a massive change or just somebody that's wanting the best out of the system, you seem pretty concerned and pretty have a lot of thought into this. And
yeah, I put a lot of thought into before I ran for sheriff. Before I filed for sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable in my position and my job today, and this is going to be a change back to 24-hour days and things like that. And and I anticipate that, and I know that it's going to take me a couple years to even get established in the major changes that I want. That I'm going to have to really put the time and effort in. And I understand that, and I'm prepared to do that. I just feel like the sheriff's office is a key component to the county. And I think that it's very important that we establish that respect that we've always had in the past. And I think no matter what happens nationally, Lewis County is a different place.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time we're kinder, we're nicer, we help out more, and I think that we should use that to our advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And and the sheriff's office should fit right into that, and we should be able to help more and do things. And and during even today, I'm still a member of the Lewis County Deputy Sheriff's Association,
mm-hmm.
which is different than that, but I've been since I started at the sheriff's office. And I'm still a member of that. We still go out, we do fundraisers, we hand out toys at Christmas, we give donations to people, and we really work hard so we can give back to the community and the people.
Mm-hmm.
We do Shop with a Cop and things like that. We donate money for that, and fairs and festivals, we've donated monies for that. So a lot of us are invested in the community, just not as publicly as a lot of people would think.
Mm-hmm. The main reason I wanted to do this and to get you in front of me and have this interview is, a lot of people are either misinformed, uninformed. It's just, wanted you to get out here and say some stuff that we thought we needed to touch base on.
Absolutely. It's not... People are busy today, and I understand the fact that that they're busy and may not have enough time to look into or talk to or send messages, and that's okay too. I just want to make sure that people are informed, And I've heard several rumors. I've tried to address most of those that I could on Facebook and say, hey, I've never said I'm going to fire all the officers.
Right.
It's nothing that I ever said. And somebody said I was a member of the Socialist Party and I wanted to be a communist or something like that, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I don't even know who would say something like that.
Right, and it's a small community, so stuff like that.
Absolutely.
You try to shut that down as fast as possible. Now through this, have you received any funding for your campaign?
No, I personally did not. It's not a bad thing to receive funding.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like, as in the sheriff's role, that I kind of felt like that if people give you money to make you sheriff, then you kind of owe them something.
Right.
It may or may not be true. I just didn't want to go into that. So I'm funding my own campaign myself. I'm the money I have is the money that I make. I don't take donations from anybody. So all the money that I spend is money that I have saved or money that comes from my direct paycheck.
Okay, I just want to get out of the way, just because some people have thoughts on that if they don't see big massive signs anywhere and stuff like that.
I'm not. No, nobody's paying me to run, and I have not collected any money from anybody. So everything that I've done has been from my own finances.
So can you let everybody know when they can vote, where they can vote?
Sure. Early voting is October 21st through the 31st, and then voting at the districts will be on November 3rd, of course, Election Day. But you can vote at the courthouse. You can do, I believe you can walk in, and they also have curbside that they'll bring it out to you. So there's different options you can do there. If you need to call the county clerk to make special arrangements, I'm sure she would.
But I appreciate this, and
I think I really appreciate you getting involved. A lot more people should get involved and know what's going on in the community, not just during the sheriff's election, but everybody that's running for office, from the county commission, clear through to the president. My name is David Parks. I'd appreciate your vote on November 3rd for Sheriff of Lewis County. This was paid for by the candidate.